Hello, welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. It is the match preview. Republic of Ireland travel to Budapest on Sunday in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. And again, I'm joined by John O'Sullivan. John, how are you feeling going into this one?
Excited, looking forward to it. Just full of hope. We've been talking and we've been saying about it, and that's the biggest thing I can feel is the excitement. It's Friday now, and I can't wait for Sunday. I'm making plans already, looking forward to the game, and say the squad's buzzing to get over there, and I think you're going over. It's something to look forward to. If you would have lost against Portugal, there'd be no hope going over. So just full of hope and excited, and hopefully the lads can get it done.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, I suppose. You go from Ronaldo mania to kind of focusing on just the team again. So I suppose it's an interesting dynamic. Not that the Irish team weren't focusing on Portuguese players. There's so many good players, but I just more so mean it was kind of all about Ronaldo last night. It was probably his last game at the Aviva, all of that sort of thing. It was kind of all based around him. This time around, we're travelling away off the back of our biggest win in years. There's a positivity of the fans travelling over. I'm travelling over tomorrow for a flight at 5 in the morning. Not looking forward to that. Stop over in Amsterdam, and then I get to Hungary, I think, around 1 o'clock. So I'll be knackered tomorrow, but I won't care because I'll be primed and ready for Sunday for the game. But I'm just coming into this one, from Hungarian point of view, like the results, they started off the group with a draw against us, but I think crucially, that red card was our saving grace that day. I don't know if we would have got back into the game, but the fact of the matter is we did. Then they lost, obviously, at home to Portugal, 3-2. But look, they've shown they can score goals. They beat Armenia 2-0, and then they drew 2-2 with Portugal, which was I think a late equaliser. And then they beat Armenia last night. So then they play us, and then just in terms of their kind of their top players and stuff like that. Like we know Barnabás, Varga, he's being coached by Robbie Keane at the moment at Ferencváros, and he has been in the form of his life under Robbie Keane. It's such a weird dynamic, obviously, an Irish, obviously record goal scorer, but he's obviously clearly very good for the strikers in that sense. They've got Szoboszlai, they've got Zalai as well, who was the player I think who got sent off against us, and then they've got Kirkes, who signed with Liverpool as well. So they've obviously got some really good players. They've got Willie Orban in centre back as well, who's a kind of big leader for them as well. We talked about Coleman being kind of the leader for us. So they've got good players kind of scattered around the pitch, and maybe not as glossed as Portugal. But I definitely think if we can play similar to how we played last night, we can get at them at the very least.
Yeah, no, this is a difficult one because we have to win the game.
Yeah, there's no draw.
Yeah, so last night we knew Portugal because I wouldn't say they're arrogant, but they're never going to, let's see out a game. We knew they were going to come and attack, so you could play the counter press with the low block, with the forwards running in behind. So this game's a bit different where we're going to have to set up to win the game from the start, where Hungary... I'm more interested to see how Hungary are going to set up, because a draw is enough for them. Now, I'm not saying for 1 second they're just going to be happy with a draw, but it's kind of an awkward one for them, because if they sit in and try and just go, let's play for the draw, let's not take any risks, it kind of gives us the platform to actually just go for the game and just attack them. So it's actually tough to break down, because there's a lot of different dynamics here. How the Hungary play. Personally, I think they'll just play the way they always have with the wingers and the striker and the midfield. But I don't know if we can set up the exact same way with how
I think there'll be some players to come back in.
100%.
So Manning, Malumbi,
100%. He
maybe
will give
Ferguson.
You that more threat going forward, and or he stays in the game. Keeps it tight with the view to going, let's try and nick it late on and give them no chance to, it is a headache for the manager, because we have to win the game. A draw is not enough. Obviously we can't lose the game. So he's going to have to figure out with his players, do we go for it from minute one, or do we stay in the game, make it tight, keep it 0-0 and stay in the game to then bring on, the cavalry to go for it. So listen, I'd hate to be in his position, but at the same time, what a position to be in from, a few months ago to every Irish fan, being depressed after losing to Armenia, to right, let's go over to Hungary, and if we win, what a achievement that will be.
Yeah, I think it has to be a cup final mentality because we, as you say, we have to win. It's almost a case of you look at Crystal Palace against Man City, you kind of have to kind of go in with that approach of try to nick the goal, take a look. I don't know if we can do it again after last night. And one thing I was thinking last night is, I hope we haven't peaked with that performance last night, that we can't match the similar energy. Now I will say he has players that could and most likely will come back in. But I kind of want to ask you this, is like, if you were making changes, like so some of the obvious ones would be maybe Ryan Manning at left wing back, maybe Malumbi in centre mid for Jack Taylor, and then maybe Evan First. But I don't think you could drop Troy after scoring the 2 goals anyway. He did come off. I don't know if that was a precaution to play him for the game on Sunday. So there's otherwise I would keep everything else the same. I don't really see the need to change too much, to be honest with you. I don't think you need to tamper too much unless there's injuries.
Yeah, no, see, I see it two ways. I see it either you, like you say with Evan Ferguson, or either, like for me, you have
or Johnny Kenny.
You have the argument there. Do you play them for 60 minutes as battering rams for them? Try to come on. I know you're taking a gamble there because he's only getting, half an hour. Or do you do it that way? For me personally, I would make changes and I would keep it tight.
What would you change? Who would you change?
I would probably.
Personnel?
This is nothing on performance.
Yeah, but probably, if you were the manager, who would you say?
I'd probably take out Coleman with the view to, if we're winning, what an absolute pro to come on. If he's fit enough to play, I'm not saying he's not fit enough, but I'm talking more the recovery now between now and again. How much minutes has he played? For me, if you could take him out and have some fresh legs up and down, for him to come on for the last half an hour if you're winning, my God, would. That's the dream scenario. We have the likes of midfield. Maybe you could rotate one of the midfielders. And like you said, there's Ferguson, there's whoever's back fit that can come back in. But I wouldn't change a lot, but I would definitely change 2 or 3 players. And how fit, I know Troy came off, and we were blessed enough the other night that we could actually take players off 2-0 up against 10 men with the view. I can't remember the last time we've had that luxury. If it would have stayed 1-0, the stress levels, and you had to keep them on and flag them. But
it's a really good predicament to be in. Yeah.
It's the narrative. It's all about how the manager's going to approach the game, and I know we're here to guess that. From my own experience, I would keep it tight and try and win it as late as possible. The old when we won it in Derry at Shells, and I would throw that in there. But
nothing wrong with that.
If you scored early and you had to sit in the whole game with the bombardment, personally, I think that would suit us as well. It's hard to go away from home at any international level. You've seen Portugal come to us, and the crowd are up for it. But I would say there's a lot of will ride on how Hungary approach the game. If you show up or you get feedback that Hungary are going to sit in, right, play Troy, play Ferguson, play the 2 of them. Why not? We could play 2 strikers and, Ogbene and the 10 behind them. There's loads of ways you can approach the game. I think he won't change much, but he'll definitely rotate 2 or 3. He has to, because I know, and everyone, you went the game last night, how physical and how taxing that first, 60 minutes was up until, whenever the red card, the exact minute was. But he'll make a few changes. I'll be shocked if he doesn't, and he'll have the view of, right, I'm going to need these boys either to see out the game or to win the game late on. But I can't see it being an open game, and I can't see Hungary, like the last game. I know you say the red card helped us, but you can only play the card you're dealt in the game. But Hungary are a top side, and I think the way he coaches is quite defensive anyway. So I can't see him just all of a sudden then going, right, let's play 3 and all he is just going to win the game. He has to keep it the same, try and get some set pieces. It is an away game to a top side, and I don't think he'll come away from that. So while we're all excited, the game might be quite boring to start with, because we're going to have to kill their atmosphere and their good players, and I think we can do it. I think we've shown last night, and I think we've shown away to Portugal that we can get to the edge of getting a top result away from home with some big games.
I think the best thing now, what we have and we haven't had in years, is we have a number of strikers that we know can score a goal and are comfortable scoring goals in an Ireland shirt.
Ida scored a fair few coming off the bench. Big goals, the Hungary goal at home, the second goal, the equaliser. And goals before, they scored a big goal against the Netherlands as well in the qualifying campaign previously as well, when we were in with France. And Ferguson scored goals, and now Troy's got goals, and he's got another couple, and he loves the last minute winner as well, especially at the Aviva. But then one interesting one I'm actually going to throw to you, for you saying just kind of towards the end when you want to nick it, you got Johnny Kenny, who's a complete different profile to the rest of them, who can run in behind. And if you're trying to then get, you'd be thinking he's a great option to have. He's scoring goals for Martin O'Neill under Martin O'Neill at Celtic. He's a great option to have there. And once we have these different profiles of strikers, it then allows us to have different ways to play as well. Like you mentioned, kind of having the different structures to allow Benny and Parrott to play. We also have other strikers that can allow other players to play now, and I think that's exciting as well. It's that we're not, because I remember a few years back, I'm not sure if you're friends with like Callum Robinson and these, you may be, but like we had a lot of players like him and Scott Hogan. We had players that were probably doing well for their club, but they were never really. Callum Robinson was comfortable in an Ireland shirt, but I don't think a lot of them were. Dave McGoldrick didn't score that many goals, although he was a very good player for Ireland. They weren't really that comfortable in the Ireland jersey. Whereas the only one in recent times I could think of is Callum Robinson. You go further back, it's Shane Long or Robbie, and in between that, there's not too many that you can really think of. You could actually hang your hat on and go, they'll get you a goal. John Walters was kind of used wide right, but he was an attacker, and he was brilliant for us. But yeah, there was we went through that period where we never knew where we were going to score the goal from. Alan Brown used to score a lot of our goals, actually.
We've kind of gone from having who's going to play up front to who do we want to play up front, which...
Good problem.
Yeah, it's a great problem. And like, for me, when strikers are scoring, they always just start scoring together, and then you're like, oh, do you play him or do you play him? And it's great. But that's what I'm saying. Like, Troy's night was last night, was great. And like, don't knock what, like you said, Ida's goal against, in the other games, and Ferguson's goals, So you can't just be just blinded by, right, last night it could be someone else's night on Sunday, and Ferguson's shown like he's capable of scoring at any level as well. So when the team sheet comes out and fans are going to be like, oh, why is he come out or why he's not playing, you don't know how he felt after the game, if he's fit, who's tired, because I know, like you said to me this morning, how tired you feel. You were at the game and you were on that high. Imagine you were on that pitch last night and you had to be in Portugal to keep the World Cup dreams alive for the whole country who love football. So they're going to be tired, and there's going to be fresh bodies needed. I know that 100%. And, the manager just needs to decide now, does he go early for the game to see it out? Or does he go, right, lads, come on, let's do what we've been doing, keep it compact, let's try and draw them out and catch them with the counter-attack? Because if Hungary come out and play against us the way Portugal does, and we set up in a similar fashion, like, we will hurt them. We've shown we can score goals against them, and we've shown we can score goals against anyone. It's going to be what we do in the defensive end that's going to decide the game, with the keeper, with the centre backs, with the wing backs, and the two midfielders. And if we can get that right, we will cause problems, and I have no doubts that we'll go there and score goals. And
just who would be your, if you're the manager, who are you picking? Who's your
up front?
Who's your team? What's your team? So you keep the same back three.
Keep the same back three.
I don't even have to talk about the goalie. We know who he is. So wing backs.
The goalie. I'm probably keeping the midfield and the back three the same.
So Taylor, Cullen, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm probably Manning might possibly come in on the left. Nothing on Scalzi.
He went down.
Yeah, I just know how taxing wing backs is. Now the right wing back one, I'm unsure of who.
Jimmy Dunn.
Yeah, possibly.
I think it might be a big game for him though.
But this is my point. So you're gonna have to. That's for me. That's to attacking early on. So maybe Coleman is the play where you kind of tell him, listen, you're kind of just sitting in as another defender, and then you bring Manning on there. So you same again where he gives you the pace up and down the wing, and Coleman just stays back, and you always have four defenders back behind the ball, with the midfielders also there. So I'd probably keep Coleman. I know I said it'd be handy to swap him out.
I get where you're coming from though.
But it's just who do you bring in on that side instead of him at the moment is what's throwing me off. Not saying that there's nobody there to bring in. There's just nobody screaming out at me that can do that role as good as what he can. So the two midfielders, I'd probably would bring in for me, I'd play Ferguson and Troy together with Ogbene, and that's nothing on. That's nothing on him at all. He was excellent.
But just systems,
just to come on, and that's. Listen, I know the manager's not going to do that, but I just think if you have to win a game of football, and you have Troy Parrott and Evan Ferguson, like, you're going to have to go long a lot in the game. And I'm more thinking along the lines of, if you have Ferguson as the 9 and you have Troy and Ogbene on the knockdowns off him to go long in the game, is what I would do if I was in charge. Like, I'm not in charge. I haven't, remember, that's my own experience. But away from home, it's going to be tough. You're going to be likely sat in a lot. And if you have a target man to hit with the likes of Troy Parrott and Ogbene with their pace in behind and the link-up play, is a no-brainer to me. But that's my own personal opinion. I'm not saying anyone should be taken out on performance. I'm just thinking of the game, the fresh legs with Ferguson. He does have power to run in behind as well. Don't knock that neither. So I would probably go with that.
The only thing I just think of that is, it's not a bad shout, but I just think it upsets a bit of the balance there, because Troy's going from kind of being a 9 back to goal, kind of to being the opposite. I don't think that's his strong point. I actually think he's better with probably feeling the contact of players and then kind of.
I'd have them as a 3, like a front 3, as in not out wide, none of them out wide. I'd had them as 3 forwards together. So as in Troy could still do that. So the 3 of them. So my system would be set up as, the 7 being the core behind the ball, similar to last night, but just with an extra striker, 3 forwards to go and win the game. And I think, if you take any of them out there and put Azaz back in there, it doesn't really change anything,
Yeah.
So I would still have Troy as a striker, not as like a 10 dropping in, and you can still do that. It's just giving them someone else to do the physical side of what, when I watch Hungary and their centre-backs and how they are, they're quite physical, where Portugal probably play a bit more, and they give you the opportunity to press them as Troy did, where I think Hungary are a bit more of a physical, 2 centre-backs, old school, a bit more aggression compared to, not knocking, Ruben Dias or any Portuguese players, but I just think it's a bit more physical away from home in Hungary, and sometimes having that physical presence, set pieces are going to be key, offers a lot of, away from home.
Yeah, I just wouldn't go with Ferguson just purely down to the fact that he's been injured. I'd go with Ida probably more so.
Yeah, either or. Yeah, one
either.
Yeah, basically.
But I think it would just make more sense because he's been playing lately, and just if Evans, I think he said in the press conference that he was supposed to train yesterday or something like that. I don't know why he would train on a match day, but anyway, so I just think it might come too close from the start, but I think he could come on as an option off the bench. But imagine being in the predicament in the last half an hour where we could start Troy and Adam Ida, and if they haven't delivered, fair enough, no problem. But you've got Johnny Kenny and Evan Ferguson to come on as their subs.
Yeah, sorry, didn't even mention Johnny Kenny. That he's been absolutely. I was a massive fan of his.
I don't think he can start, by the way.
No,
because he hasn't. Did he get a cap? I'm sure he got capped, but I don't think he's.
Yeah, he wouldn't be used to the games and level. But I was a big fan of his when he was playing. For Rovers. He's the pace and it's the natural ability to score is the big thing. We're blessed at the minute where Ida's a bit different. He is a bit more of a physical presence and he can run and but the likes of Kenny and Parrott and Ferguson, it's just a natural ability to score. It's just you cannot. It's just so valuable, and the fact we have to win the game, my mind goes to, if I had 2 of them on the pitch from the start, would I regret not having, my 2 best goal scorers on the pitch? And then if you go 1-0 down, then you're throwing them on to try and score. I always go back to that. you play your best, goal scorers, and.
So that's why you're going with Evan.
That's why. No, just for if we didn't need to win the game, say if we're going over there for it was like a draw or it was just any game, I wouldn't. But you play your best goal scorers when you have to win a game of football. And listen, if he's not fit, I'm just I wouldn't play him. But if he was fit and I can get 60 minutes of him and his physical presence for the likes of Kenny needed to come on then to get a goal and use Ferguson's physical attributes to wear them down, then I think that's what he's tried to do in the past. And I think it has worked. We just haven't had someone like Troy with him to take the chances, yeah. So, you know, that's the only reason why I was leaning towards that way.
Yeah, it's the way Gasparini said that he wasn't even meant to travel and he was getting treatment around that makes me think like he's way off where he should be in terms of, you know, on the treatment table. So that's why I think he'd probably be a last resort.
Yeah,
I can't imagine him starting. Like if he does and he scores, happy days. I'm not saying
if he's not fit, he won't play.
I'd be happy to play any of them. I don't actually have a problem with any of them playing. There's no one I'd be going, oh no. I can see why any of the four of them would play. You know what I mean? Kenny won't start. I'd be amazed if he starts. But I could see him getting a run in this game for sure. I definitely could. As you said, in the last half hour, we need someone just even pulling them out of position and stuff like that, running in behind, getting on the end of chances. And he's a poacher as well. Like if you get him in that 6-yard box, a bit like Troy's goal last night, the first one, you get Kenny in that position. You've seen it in Europe as well, and for Celtic, he's very good in that particular position. If we're getting crosses in, we're overloading them, and we're trying to get balls into the box. That's where you would want a Johnny Kenny. And as you say, you could have an Evan Ferguson then as the person who kind of takes a lot of the
well, he occupies two centre-backs for me.
And then that allows Kenny to be kind of on the shoulder as well. And I don't think Willie Orban's going to be too happy to have a pacey young lad running in behind him, you know what I mean, who's capable of scoring. He's been playing, obviously, with Celtic regularly now, and he seems to establish himself. He scored the All-Firm. So, you know, he's shown that he can perform at a big stage as well, you know. And as I mentioned, with Rovers in Europe. But, yeah, we normally end these anyway with score predictions.
Oh, no.
So, it's usually just a score prediction. It's whatever. You can go with your heart, you can go with your head. So, yeah, I'll let you go first.
You want me to go first?
I can go if you want. I don't really mind.
I haven't really thought about this, actually. I was just too excited from last night. I don't want to... honestly... I think if we get the setup right, and I've watched Hungary and I've watched us play and certain games, I think we will win the game. I'm going to be the positive outlook because that's how I've always looked in my life. I'm going to go 2-0 Ireland. I think we'll go 1-up. I think Hungary will go at us. And I think if we can get the first goal and draw Hungary out, I think we'll murder them in the transition. That's my honest. That's not, this is what I've seen and I'm going off. If we can get that first goal, I more or less would bank everything on us getting a second.
I hope you're right. I was going to go 2-0 myself. I go 2-1. I can't see them not scoring. I think your man Varga will score. I hope not. Look, if it's 2-0, I'll absolutely... The main thing is just win. I think some of our centre-halves are due a goal from a corner or something like that. So I envision someone like Jake O'Brien getting his first international goal. I'd love it. Yeah. And then Johnny Kenny as a late sub to come in and win it against the run of play where we're under the cosh and he scores and it's absolute scenes, as you say. I would love it. I would, as Kevin Keegan, to quote him, I would love it if we beat them. But it'd be amazing. Look, and it's just great to have the optimism and the positivity going into the game for something to kind of... Someone said it to me yesterday, can't remember who, but he just said, if you had given us at the start of the campaign to bring it to the last stage, to go there with something to play for, you'd have absolutely taken it. Now we've gone the absolute worst way about it, but we're here, so you can't really fault it. Well, you can fault it, but you can't really worry about it now. We just have to try and go there and try and get the win. And look, cup final mentality. We have to go there. We have to show balls of steel to go into their backyard and beat them. And and I think if we can do that, this could be the turning point for everyone. And you know, in fairness to the manager, I didn't really speak about it on the final word, but he's taken a lot of stick because he came out and told people to book their passports. We're going to be going to now. He did get a little bit ahead of himself there, so he did bring a bit of stick on himself, in my opinion. And everyone, like I've been speaking with ex-players, and they're calling for other managers to come in, like Lee Carsdale and stuff like that. But if he can get this win, like you have to say, like huge credit for the way he's turned it around. If it happens, of course. But to bring Seamus Coleman back in was a masterstroke, but he probably should never have been left out in the first place. But
look, I think he's learnt along the way of the campaign, and he was very feisty last night. When he was asked, was it a one-off? He didn't like that comment at all. One of the journalists asked him, which was it was a fair comment because we hadn't beaten anyone that big in 10 years. We obviously beat Scotland, but he just basically said, like, is it a one-off performance? And he goes, is it a one-off performance? Like, he was fuming with the question, and then he was like, I don't agree with that, and basically he made a good point. He was like, well, it's been 10 years, we haven't seen, can this be the turning point essentially for the team? And that's what we want to see. So going into this, whether one of our score predictions is right, it doesn't really matter if we win 1-0. I couldn't give a shite, but we can't afford to draw because they have a better goal difference by 1 goal than us. So if we had got the goal last night, you never know what could have happened. We probably should have been piling on. I think that's probably why the manager brought on attacking players to try and get that last goal. We didn't, and Kelleher made a great save towards the end on that one anyway, so that kind of kept us in it. But look, you mentioned obviously how important Ida's goal at the start of the campaign could be now going in. All of our strikers have all chipped in with goals, and that's actually a great thing to kind of take note of, is that they've all scored big goals at big times. So now we need to just make sure that we're staying in the game, cup final mentality. We need our big players performing. We've got the base of a Premier League defence and keeper. So yeah, I just hope and pray that we can get something, and I'm just buzzing to be going over. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Again, huge thanks to John for coming on, and don't forget to like, subscribe, let us know what you think the game is going to go. Do you think we can beat Hungary? Is it false hope, or will we have another one-off performance against Hungary now and beat them and hopefully get a playoff? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. We'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.